Welcome into another exciting edition of Locked On 76ers. Keith Pompey en route to Chicago, en route to Milwaukee already. I'm Marc Farzetta. We're going to be talking about the plan with Paul George and Joel Embiid. Not looking good for the very near future. See those guys again. We'll break that down on this edition of Locked On 76ers.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And we do thank you for you joining Locked On 76ers, part of your making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Now the #1 sports podcast network out there, so enjoy and subscribe to it all. This particular episode is brought to you by none other than FanDuel. Make sure new customers log on to FanDuel right now, where you can get $300 in bonus bets to use across the FanDuel app when you win your first $5 bet at FanDuel.com. Head to FanDuel.com to get started and download the FanDuel app. Got to talk about Paul George and Joel Embiid, looking like PG's out tonight. Joel Embiid, setback, plan, problem, what's going on? We'll also talk about Jared McCain getting more minutes potentially and Tyrese Maxey's stamina throughout the course of the season. Let's start it out with Joel Embiid, because he's the one that's listed as doubtful as of right now going into this Raptors game in South Philly tonight. What's the latest with Joel Embiid, Keith?
Yeah, that's the thing. You know, when we talk about the latest with Joel, what has Joel missed? I believe Joel missed 4 games. You know what I mean? It was one of those things where they said, you know, we knew about the left knee injury recovery. Then all of a sudden it became right knee soreness. Now it's saying right knee injury recovery or whatever, or dealing with it, right? Treatment. The Joel thing is a concern to me. Now, again, he could possibly play tomorrow, right? Because they got back-to-back. But the fact that we're talking about, you know, it goes from the left knee to the right knee soreness to now right knee injury, this and that, it is a concern. I mean, it has to be. You know, this is a big guy, and it just seems like maybe overcompensated, what have you. But it just seems like it's a concern. Now, again, here's the deal. You know, both of these games are important. So ideally, from the outside looking in, you may say, okay, well, maybe we think we could beat the Toronto Raptors. Milwaukee, they have another legitimate center and Miles Turner, so we'll probably need Joel that night. But we need that. But these are 2 legitimate teams. And then typically they would have him play the home game. You don't want him to travel. So the fact that, you know, he's listed as doubtful, you know, to me, that's a concern. Doubtful for Joel is typically questionable for most people. Questionable for Joel typically means he's probably most likely going to play. So to me, that's a concern. It has to be a concern.
Yeah, it certainly feels that way when it comes to Joel Embiid. I was saying as we were leading up to this game tonight against the Toronto Raptors at home, I'd rather him play against Milwaukee. I'd rather have him out there against Milwaukee. Do the Sixers have any sort of preference, or they just want him out there whenever he's healthy and non-back-to-back?
Basically, what they were doing is, if you notice, it was one of those things where they would try to get 2 days in between. Now, this is before he messed up the knee, right? The right knee. It was just 2 days in between. You know, at this particular time, it's kind of like, I think you want him out there whenever you can get him. I mean, just to be safe, just have his rest and recovery, but just get him out there whenever he can play. To me, that's the main thing, right? When it comes to Joel, you just want him out there whenever he can play.
Yeah, I'd cross your fingers, hope for the best as far as that goes. Paul George is the other name that we got to talk about here. This is obviously not a back-to-back. He played 21 minutes. He fought the good fight when it came to trying to get back onto the floor and, you know, doing all he could. Defensively, he's helpful. Rebounds, he was great, getting 7 of them, 9 points in total. What do you think the future holds for Paul George? And was there a setback when it came to, you know, what happened after those 21 minutes were played?
Nah, I mean, if we're going to be real, it's kind of sort of, I think a lot of it has to do with they're playing in a back-to-back. They want to give him a couple of days of rest. He's on a minutes restriction. Let's not do it too quickly. Kind of sort of like what the game plan was for Joel. Same thing with Jared McCain. Jared McCain came out. He was on a back-to-back. They didn't want him to be stressed out and or overused, overworked, so they gave him time off. So I think that's what it's more like for Paul. Now you will have the people that say, "Look, bro, you're making $50 million a year. You only played 20 minutes. You had 12 games off. You haven't played in 8 months. You can play. You can play." But yeah, he probably could, but they're just being cautious with it.
Fair enough. All right. When we come back, I want to break this down a little bit further with Paul George and Joel Embiid and what the plan should be going forward. We'll talk about that and more when we return. This is Locked On 76ers. And right now, I'm going to tell you guys about SKIMS. You guys need to take advantage of what SKIMS is offering right now. Very comfortable. Very comfortable. When it comes to SKIMS and when they announced underwear for men, the reaction made perfect sense. People have been talking about SKIMS comfort for years. Most guys, though, stick to whatever they've been buying since college or maybe even before, maybe even have some what they had before college. Most guys think about, hey, let's just stick with what I know. Try SKIMS and you will not regret it. SKIMS Men's changes all of that. One upgrade, and it's obvious why everyone's been talking about SKIMS. You got to talk about all the great stuff they have right now. Cotton 5, Stretch 5, Cotton 3, Stretch 3, Boxer Brief, whatever you like, SKIMS has it. What stood out right away was the fit and fabric of SKIMS. Soft, supportive, and comfortable all day long. They don't ride up, they don't lose their shape, and they hit exactly where they're supposed to on the thigh for ultimate comfort. Shop SKIMS Men's right now at skims.com. Shop SKIMS Men's at skims.com. And when you place your order, choose Locked On 76ers and podcast in the post-purchase survey and select our show, Locked On 76ers, in the drop-down window to let them know that we sent you. Plus, SKIMS Holiday Shop is open, so if you're looking for the perfect gift this holiday season, SKIMS has you covered. Shop SKIMS Men's at skims.com. That's SKIMS Men's at skims.com. And right now, I want to tell you about FanDuel and how incredible FanDuel is. NBA is back, and right now, there's no better time to get in on all the action than with FanDuel. FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And right now, for new customers, FanDuel is offering something great. $300 in bonus bets to use across the FanDuel app at FanDuel.com. And even if you missed the start of the game right now, you can also talk about maybe riding a hot hand, maybe Tyrese Maxey on FanDuel. Plus, you can combine your live bets in the same game parlay for a shot at an even bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Once again, right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if that bet hits, you get $300 in bonus bets. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel at FanDuel.com, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. There we are. Hey, Keith. Looking at Paul George and Joel Embiid, what do you think the plan is going forward with Paul George in terms of minute restrictions and in terms of availability?
I mean, I think he'll play. I think it's going to be one of those things where he's going to be on a minutes restriction for a little bit. I mean, he's going to have to gradually increase it. But yeah, I don't see him going back to back. But here's the one thing I need to say. There's a larger issue here. Like, we're talking about Paul George, we're talking about Joel Embiid, but if we want to be honest, the only starter that they have that's really available since last year, who is a starter returning, is Tyrese Maxey, right? So now you have VJ Edgecombe. Right now, it looks like the minutes that he's playing have been a lot. He's tired, he's struggling a little bit. So when we talk about this chemistry, you got a lot of players, new faces, right? So not only do you have Paul George out, you have Joel Embiid out. Now you got Kelly Oubre out, right? Then Adem Bona was trying to step up and be a quality reserve backup. He's hurt. Jared McCain just came back. He hasn't looked like the person that we thought he was going to look like. So a lot of this optimism that they had early on is starting to go away a little bit. Now, again, the team is 8-5. You know, they're still one of the top six teams in the East. But at the same time, it's like one of those things where you got to build this chemistry. You have to build a chemistry, and they haven't been. And yes, it does start with Joel. It does start with PG. But to me, Mark, I'm like a little concerned with the fact that Kelly's out, Adem's out. You know, they don't really have a backup center now. It's just a lot of things that's hindering them moving forward.
Oh, absolutely. And when you look at it in this other way, for instance, when you look at it in this other way, you're talking about right now Andre Drummond. And Andre Drummond has played 430 plus minute games this season. All right. Last year, he played in 2. So we're talking about already doubling those amount of minutes. We've talked a lot about Tyrese Maxey and Tyrese Maxey's minutes. Now Jared McCain is back and available. He only played 5 minutes the other night. Can we expect an uptick, especially with Paul George being still questionable, with Jared McCain? Can we expect an uptick in minutes tonight for Jared McCain?
I don't know. I don't think so. Um, I mean, it depends on like where they are, and they may gamble. The thing is, you know, when we thought about when Jared McCain was getting this uptick in minutes, right? I mean, it was one of those things where Justin Edwards was struggling mightily. Now they're looking at Justin Edwards as the seventh man off the bench. I think the person who's going to log a lot of minutes now is going to be Quentin Grimes. We'll see Quentin Grimes a lot again. Like again, I do expect again at the start of the third quarter that Quentin Grimes is going to be in the starting lineup, and then that will enable Don Barlow to be the backup center, right? You just do that a little bit, but you know, right about now, when you got a guy who is struggling to find his shot in the NBA, and you're trying to win these games, I think you got to go with the guy who you have the most confidence in right now. Not to say they lost confidence in Jarrett, but right now it just seems like they have more confidence as of Wednesday in Justin Edwards to knock down that shot.
Mm-hmm. No, you're absolutely right. It certainly seems like that. And I think a lot of people, and this includes Jared McCain himself, but a lot of people are going to have to be patient with Jared McCain as he still plays himself in like 2 games in the G League isn't all of a sudden going to put him back at the level that he was at last year, especially when you're talking about conditioning. Overall as well, confidence, he's got to be a part of that as well. He's got to make sure that his confidence comes back. That'll happen in time. It's not going to happen in one quick 5-minute run in a game against the Clippers, but I certainly hope that that's around the corner for not just his sake, but also the 76ers as well. I want to go back to something you were talking about there, just overall when it comes to the Sixers and how they've performed this season, riding the high of the 4-0 start, getting off to that great start. VJ Edgecombe looking like a guy who is absolutely 100% NBA ready before coming back down to earth. And then in this last game, he has the conversation with Nick Nurse about how they need more from him and all that. Here's my legit question for you, Keith. Have we already seen the Sixers play the best version of basketball they've played or they'll play this season? Or do you still think that they got a better version in them as the season goes on?
Yeah, they definitely have a better version of themselves. I mean, think about it. You know, Paul George played 20 minutes. Joel Embiid is like, you know, he's been a shell of himself. So we still have to figure out if this is actually who Joel is or not. You know, Jared McCain is going to turn that corner. You know, VJ Edgecombe is going to get, you know, more, I'm not going to say confident, but he's going to get more familiar with his role. You know what I mean? Don Barlow, he only played in 4 games, right?
Mm-hmm.
4. He only played in 4 games. You know, so I feel like we're going to see a better version of them. It's just that the timing hasn't been really there. They have injuries. You know, I also think that this is a rough start for anyone, especially a rookie. I'm talking about the amount of games and the amount of minutes that BJ Edgecombe has played. It's going to taper off a little bit. So with that being said, I think that we'll see a better version of this team, you know, right now. I mean, moving.
All right, now, okay, fair enough. Now, when it comes to a guy like not just Jared McCain's minutes, but you mentioned Dominic Barlow, he looked like a guy that was just ready to pick up from where he left off, especially on the rebounding side of things. Yeah, maybe a step late here, a step late there, whatever it was. But for the most part, he looked like a guy that was ready to jump back into the fold. Do you expect him to be a consistent starter, especially with Kelly Oubre being out, Paul George still working his way back? Does Barlow take over that role that he had before the injury?
Without a doubt, man. Without a doubt. When Barlow, there was some question, like when you looked at it and you saw how they were playing without him initially, and then you say, well, when Paul George comes back, you don't want to take Kelly out. But then it became a matter of once Kelly went down, you had to go back with Barlow, especially the way he played against Detroit. Detroit is a real physical team. You know what I mean? He was the one guy, who wasn't deterred by that, who wasn't impacted by it at all, right? He came out the last game, he played well. The problem that they have right now is, like, first of all, like, they're saying he's not on a minutes restriction, but the fact is, he is your best option as the backup center. So you don't want to, like, have him on the floor as much as Drummond as possible, especially if Drummond gets in foul trouble. So that's the reason why I think part of the reason why in the second half they want him as the sixth man. But also you look and you see that Quentin can give you that offense that you need. But yeah, Don Barlow is going to be a key piece for the 76ers moving forward, at least until Kelly Oubre comes back.
All right. Well, I look forward to seeing his continued development. When we come back, focus a little bit more on Tyrese Maxey and how much he can keep this up as the season goes on. Asking a lot of Tyrese Maxey, and they'll continue to. That's when we come back. This is Locked On 76ers and the Locked On 76ers YouTube channel. Make sure you like and subscribe. Now it's time to tell you about Rippling. If you guys haven't heard us talking about Rippling already, you are missing out on all the great things that Rippling can provide. For instance, if you're a business owner, here's the truth. SaaS, S-A-A-S, promised to make work easier, but now the average company is buried by hundreds of apps that slow down your teams and simply don't work together. That's not SaaS, that's sad. Software as a disservice. That's why you need Rippling. Rippling is the unified platform for global HR, payroll, IT, and finance all in one place. They've helped millions of businesses replace a mess of disconnected tools with one system designed to give leaders clarity, speed, and control. What I love about Rippling is how it really removes the bottlenecks that occur in the business world that slow things down. Everything from onboarding to payroll to IT access runs automatically and perfectly in sync. It's seriously simple to use and gives companies one source of truth for their people, data, and everything they touch. And right now, you can get 6 months free when you go to rippling.com/LockedOnNBA. That's rippling.com/LockedOnNBA. rippling.com/LockedOnNBA. rippling.com/LockedOnNBA for 6 months free. Tyrese Maxey the other night, Keith, kept the minutes up when it came to taking on, oh, goodness gracious, those L.A. Clippers. Maxey, 39 points in 41 minutes for the Sixers. It feels like we say this all the time as I lose my camera, unfortunately. When it comes to Tyrese Maxey, is this something that the Sixers are going to be able to keep up as the season goes on?
They better hope and pray they can. Real rap. Like they don't have an option right about now. I mean, he is the only consistent player that they have. The only one. The only one. Outside of him, I would say Kelly Oubre was consistent, right? But he is the only one, and especially consistent in regards to being able to play, being on the floor, playing every night, this and that. I think it's set up for him to do that. And then when you look at it, let's face it, he's battling for a scoring title. So he's going to want to continue to keep that up, right? He just basically is. But I think the way the team is set up for him, it is set up for him to get his shot, to get out there and do everything he can to do it. And they have no other choice. Like we talked about this yesterday. This is what Nick Nurse said, that this team needs to Kelly and VJ Excom need to be like, look, we don't have anybody else. You got to play these minutes. You got to take these shots. So, Yeah, I think he will do it. Now, there's going to come times where they're going to go up against better teams, and teams are going to have defensive schemes. They're going to have they're going to have ways to stop him. So he's going to have some nights where he doesn't score in the 30s. But believe me, he's going to get enough shots that he's going to be in the 20s. Because I don't think someone's going to completely shut him down.
Fair enough. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us here on Locked On 76ers. Keith, thanks for battling through all the fun that an airport is on your way out there to Milwaukee. So we appreciate everybody joining us here, especially those in the chat. You guys are great as per usual. Danny is saying hello. DKA, Mr. Sandman Maxey has become the true franchise player and lead without Embiid and Paul George. That means setting the tone on offense and defense. Does he understand that responsibility? Keith, I think he understands that responsibility and has taken even more on his shoulders because he understands it. What do you think?
Oh, I agree 100%. I mean, he is the leader. He understands responsibility. It's certain things that people don't see on TV, right? And I'm just going to give you. I remember one game, the last game before Justin Edwards really hit it. Justin Edwards made a mistake, and Tyrese Maxey jumped up he was on the bench at the time. He jumped up from his seat, walked over to the scorer's table, right? And he was getting ready to check in, but the way he did it emphatically and doing to Justin, come here, come here, come here. So it was like people were shooting foul shots down at one end, and he was telling Justin, look, bro, you got to do this, you got to do that. And then after he did that, he kind of patted him and said, you're doing good, and walked in. He is the leader. That was when they were in Brooklyn. When they were in Brooklyn, after they won that game, everybody was celebrating at the end in the locker room. Tyrese Maxey stopped everything and said, hey, look, we got 2 more games. Now, we know how those 2 ended up. They lost them. But at the same time, he said, look, guys, we got 2 more games. So he knows that he has to be the guy on the floor as far as scoring points. But he also has to be the leader. And I'm going to tell you this, and I'm in the first person who's always telling him stuff, what to say and what to do that's in his ear, is Kyle Lowry. So, you know what I mean? And Nick Nurse,
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And here's something else I'm going to make you laugh about. Whenever the Sixers used to make a mistake, and y'all just bear with me, we're in the airport, like you said, flights getting ready to board. Whenever they make mistakes, Tyrese Maxey is the one that gets chewed out. So Nick does that for a reason, because guess what? If you don't want to get chewed out, then you better chew your teammates out. You better attack. You better do everything you can to help this team win. So he has no choice but to be aggressive. And let's face it, you're a guard. You like scoring points, man, bro. This is a perfect storm for Tyrese. The only thing is, I guess he wishes that they had a healthy team, but I have confidence in him that he'll get it done.
All right. Are you in Philly, or are you in a connecting flight in Chicago or something?
I'm literally in a connecting flight in Chicago. It's funny too, because I'm looking what's quiet there.
Just if you can get on that microphone and just announce that the Sixers are coming for the Bulls, man. That last win the Bulls had on the Sixers was a fluke, and the Sixers are coming for them.
I don't even know if the people here believe in the Bulls.
Fair enough.
It's one of those where they're waiting for them to stumble, even though they keep winning. But they're kind of waiting for them to stumble,
It was a lucky comeback. It was a lucky comeback last time Sixers faced the Bulls. Keith Pompey, thanks again. Safe travels to you, my man. Look forward to catching up with you tomorrow ahead of the Sixers taking on the Milwaukee Bucks in the second game of their back-to-back, which starts tonight against the Toronto Raptors at home. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Locked On 76ers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Also, the #1 podcast sports network out there. Make sure you guys also check out our friend Josh Lloyd with Locked On Fantasy Basketball, making you the better NBA fan, the smarter NBA fan, also all the while helping you win your league with Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Find that wherever you get your podcasts and on the Locked On Podcast Network. For Keith Pompey, I'm Marc Farzetta. Back with you guys tomorrow. See you then.